What is going on? You know who it is. You know what the deal is. It's me, clearly the freshest cut of all time. I'm back with another video. Yes, I did promise you guys this video for a while, and it's finally here. Today we are talking the basics of Premiere Pro. I know I did a video a long time ago about the Final Cut Pro basics, but a lot has changed. I don't use Final Cut anymore. I mean, I still do like every now and then, like once in a blue moon, but it kind of started messing with my computer. So I'm on the Premiere Pro wave due to, you know, the Creative Cloud. My fault, y'all. It's hot in here. Alright, so I'm not going to like really go in depth about Premiere Pro because this is only part one. It's so much to Premiere Pro. But the reason why I switched over to Premiere Pro is because of the Creative Cloud source. You know how I have all the apps, and because of the Creative Link. How, let's say I want to go from Premiere Pro to After Effects is that simple. Versus Final Cut, it's kind of like, you know, I would have to export whatever I have in Final Cut to bring it to After Effects, and then export from After Effects and then bring it back to, it's too much work. All right, so without further ado, because it's so hot in here and I'm trying to, you know, turn on my AC, but I don't want y'all to hear it so loudly, let's hop into Premiere Pro. All right, so welcome to my home screen. Poof, here we go. Don't judge my picture. That was me when I was like 4 years old, still pimping in the game. So obviously we're gonna open up Premiere Pro, let that load up a little bit. My computer's not that fast. I mean, it is fast, but it's not that fast. All right. So meanwhile it's loading up today, we're gonna be basically touching up on, you know, the basics, like every single panel. I actually wrote this down. But we're gonna touch on, you know, going into the effects tab, how to lower or raise volume, exporting, importing clips, and adding titles. These are like the simple stuff, you know, for like very early beginners. All right, so obviously you see here I have like all of my previous work. We're gonna touch on a new project since I'm pretty sure this screen you don't necessarily really have to worry about. You can name your project whatever you want, so I'm gonna do Premiere, oh my god, my spelling is off. Premiere Pro testing. As far as location, you choose the location of where you want the file to go. The project itself is not that large, but I like to put it on my hard drive, mainly because I don't want my desktop to be running out of space because of a project that I'm currently working on. So I just use my hard drive that has like 2 terabytes on it. Everything else I just leave normal, press OK, and poof, it should open up in like the next 5 seconds. Alright, bet. So when you open up Premiere Pro, this is not what's gonna come up, right? So it's gonna bring you to assembly or editing. Right, we're gonna start off with assembly because assembly is kind of like the basics of the basics, right? Like I said, we're gonna touch on importing clips. What I do, I'm on a Mac, so I would press Command and press I. If you have any other system but you don't really know the keys yet, you probably don't know the keys yet because you don't know Premiere Pro at all. You'll go on the top, the bar clip right here, press File, you press go down and press Import. Once you press import, you can like you know, go through your SD card or go through whatever files you have. Alright, bet. I'm just gonna choose an Instagram clip that I did recently. Well, not recently, but it was for the vlog before this one that just came out. Cool. Once you press, you know, what file you want to import into Premiere Pro, it's gonna pop up on the left hand side. This basically shows all of your clips. You can kind of organize it. I'm not gonna do that right now because it's only one clip. But if you wanted to and you have multiple clips and you kind of want to keep it organized and together, you can go down the bottom tab on the left, press new bin, name whatever folder you want. So let's say clips, press clips, and then you can drag whatever clips you want into that folder and it just goes straight in. So now when you close it, everything is organized. When you open it, all the clips are there. Cool. I bet. So in the assembly tab, you have 3 tabs. Obviously, the one on the left is where all the clips is at, all your effects. To the right on the top is the video source. All right, so this is where you can actually see the video. You can see what's being played. And on the bottom is your sequence. It's your timeline sequence. So whatever clips you drag, whatever effects, whatever audio, sound effects, whatever, you drag it to the bottom here. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that Instagram clip that I put in, we're gonna drag it to the bottom. Poof, you can see the video. Alright, you can drag it and, you know, see how it plays. This is already edited, so I don't really need to do much, but obviously it's for tutorial purposes. Basically, but the little numbers on the top where you see my mouse dragging right now, you can literally use it to just drag the clips. You have your timer here on the left hand that's in blue. That basically is telling what section are you in the video. So let's say you want to go 3 seconds in, you can literally just click it and type in 3, and and the bar that drags into the timeline will drag to the 3rd second of whatever clip you're on. Most of this stuff I'm not gonna really touch on right now because this is more like, I don't want to say advanced, but it's more in depth of what it is. But the basics, pretty much right here, right under the clip, you have the play button, you have the step forward 1 frame. Every second has 24 frames, so if you click that, it's gonna go really slow, but it helps when you're trying to cut a specific part into the video. Here there's like a snapshot, so let's say you want to export a picture out of that frame, you can click that and it'll export wherever you want it to go. If you notice, once you drag the clip onto the timeline, there's a little bar next to it. This is the sound bar, so it'll tell you, just like how I did in Final Cut, it'll tell you how loud or low your quality of sound is. I believe for YouTube, like the best settings is like -6, so you always want your sound to hit -6. Obviously, if it hits red, or if you see the color red at any point, that means it's way too high, and for somebody that's gonna wear headphones, it's gonna blast into their ear like really loudly. So you always want to stay at -6. You can hit 0 on certain points, like sound effects. Like I've seen some YouTube videos where like loudness actually makes the video somewhat better, so you can hit the yellow. As far as red, you never want to touch red at all because that's just way too loud. All right, cool. The next thing we're going to talk about is how to raise a low volume. All right, so we're going to move from the assembly tab that's on the top to the editing tab. Now the difference between all these tabs, obviously learning is going to teach you, the basics of Premiere Pro, but you don't need that because you got me. All right, assembly basically is what I showed you. It just assembles all the clips and everything that you have, but you can still kind of edit there, but you just can't put edits to it. Editing is like the biggest form because it gives you full control of editing your clips. So as you can see, when pressing editing, you have more panels open. So on the top left, this is where all of your position, scaling, opacity, you can change up the audio if you want to. You got the audio clip mixer, so you can go into more depth about your sound. You got the source, so let's say you have a clip that's like mad long but you want only parts of it, you can drag the clip. So we can do it now. You can drag the clip into the source instead of the timeline, and then from there check out the clip. You can press I, let's say I just want this part. So now you see this little gray tab like right under the clip. So when I drag it, it only takes out that portion of the clip. But I'll teach you guys that in part 2. So yeah, we're gonna go back to how to raise or lower volume. Oh, and obviously my fault. Last panel that you see is different is the essential graphics tab. That I kind of put in there myself. Probably for you, when you open up Premiere Pro for the first time, it's not there. But I put that there just because if I want to put graphics on my videos, like the 3D titles or the advanced social media tabs, that's essential graphics. You don't really need to touch on that yet because obviously for most computers, like if your computer is kind of slow, it's gonna crash very fast. That's for more like people with like the iMac Pros and all that. So let's finally get to how to lower and raise volume. Biggest and quickest way I do it, for some people, everybody has their own preference of how they lower or raise volume, but the fastest way for a beginner is going to the effects controls tab inside the effects panel. You press it and then you go all the way down. It's gonna say audio at the bottom. It already has this like stopwatch check next to level. You want to turn that off. It works based on decibel, so you can either like click and hold and just drag it down. Dragging it left means you're lowering the volume, and dragging it forward means you're raising it. Yeah, if you want to lower it, you press -3 and it just lowered 3 decibels. I know decibels may seem weird or it may sound weird, but think about it like when you're in your car and you have the little turn knob. It's like every 1 click is 1 decibel. So that's how decibels work. As far as this little stopwatch, it's almost like keying. Keying is basically when you want it to, let's say at the start of the clip you want it to be at 0, and then at the end of the clip you want it to be at like 5, you would use decibels. I mean, you would use keying for that. So, but I'll teach you guys all of that stuff. Everything that I'm like kind of breezing past is for part 2, because part 2 is a little more in depth about Premiere Pro. This is just the basics for like a very early beginner. As far as like the basic tools, you have cutting. They're basically like right next to the timeline. More times than not, I'm pretty sure you're gonna use the blade to like cut out parts, because there's certain parts where like you cough or you mess up. So you can use the blade within the clip that you have on the timeline, and you can cut through it, just listen to it over and over, cut it, go back to the point selection tool, select that clip that you just cut, and you can just press delete. And then you could push forward the forward clip and the behind clip together so that it cuts out that little portion that you didn't want. There's also other tools like, you know, the type tool. So you can press the type tool, go on the video and type in, let's see, you can say Instagram. You'll notice once you type in something, it'll have the type tool. It'll have the type everything in there, so you can change the font. You can center it. To center is gonna say align and transform. You'll see it. It says vertical center. Press that, and you press the horizontal center, and it'll just center it right in the middle of the clip. To change the font, you can go through here and you pick anything that you want. And then you can center it again because some fonts are a little bigger. You can change the color here if you want, so make it red. You can do all that. After you're done with that, right, because I'm pretty sure you're like on the basics. To export it now, so let's say you want to put it on YouTube, you can go to the top again, press File, go to Export, press Media, and then you're gonna see this big old tab that has like mad stuff on it. Don't worry about all of that because you're in the basics. Alright, so the tab pops up and you'll see obviously your video on to the left, and you'll see all the stuff on the right. Don't worry about most of that stuff. Alright, what you want to do is, first thing I always do is check the source range, press entire sequence. The second thing I do is look at the format. It says H.264. Okay, that's mostly for YouTube. And then you want to go to your presets. For those that don't have a preset yet, I'm pretty sure you don't have one. You can press match source high bitrate. And then the output name, you can name it whatever you want. So I say test Premiere Pro. Click the folder that you want it in. So I got it in my hard drive for YouTube videos. Press save. And the last thing I want to do, you're gonna go to this tab like towards the bottom. It says video. You want to go down and press render at maximum depth. What that does is when it renders out, you want it to be as clear and as sharp as possible. It will render out sharp, but if you want it sharper, you want to press that. It will take longer to export, but trust me, it's all worth it. And then when you get towards the bottom, you want to press use maximum render quality. Again, it makes it sharper and clearer. Press that, and then it'll tell you how big the file is, and then you can either press Q to bring it to Adobe Media Encoder, which is part 2. I'm gonna touch on that in part 2 as well, but for me mostly I do regular exporting, and then it'll encode, you know, do all this stuff. I'm not going to do that because, you know, it's more space on my hard drive that I don't need. But once it's done, you'll see it wherever you put it, and then from there you can just drag it to YouTube, or you can drag it to your phone, airdrop it if you have a Mac to an iPhone, or just email it to yourself and you got the video. Alright, that's part 1 of Premiere Pro. I know it's kind of short, even though the video felt kind of long. Trust me, there's gonna be a lot more to touch upon in terms of editing and getting in more in depth of like how to do, let's say, like making your titles move, or how to color grade or use adjustment layers and all that. I will teach you guys more in depth with part 2. Part 1 was just more for like the very early beginners that had absolutely no idea how to use Premiere Pro at all. But with that being said, guys, that's it for this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. If you stayed to the end, make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter _ WeWantMoore, Snapchat WeWant.moore, and I will see you guys in the next video. Alright, deuces.